Unawake Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Journey, life lessons to lead you to your optimal self. This book is all about giving tools to readers to know how they can be their optimal self. Because I tell people we're all on a journey, and on that journey we learn that life lessons are jewels, the people that inspire us to be better are jewels, and more importantly, getting to the point where you know that you yourself as the reader are a jewel. And what I mean by that is knowing exactly who you are as you go about your journey. Because as we go through the different challenges in life, we need to know that once we have the right people in our lives and we have the right lessons, we can overcome those challenges and, more importantly, find ourselves and inspire other people within our community to learn the jewels on their journey as well. So if you'd like to learn more about my book, you can go to my website, www.elijahlewis.org, to get your signed copy. And also knowing that when you make a purchase of my book, 22% of that purchase goes to helping a veteran battling PTSD obtain a service dog. The reason why I went with 22 is because that's the amount of time, in seconds rather, that sadly we lose a veteran to suicide. So we really are trying to prevent that from happening by knowing that mental health is very important. So again, if you make a purchase, 22% goes to helping our veterans battling PTSD obtain a service dog. And also another aspect in our community that I want to raise awareness about is the Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. This is an institution that is very important in the Baltimore community. This institution has helped the lives of a lot of young men in our community by helping them athletically, academically, and overall obtain the character traits that are needed to become men in our community. So we're trying to stop the closure of this school, and we want to let people know that every Wednesday night we have a Zoom meeting where the CEO will come on and give us weekly updates about how things are progressing. If you'd like to learn more about the Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys, you can go to their website, www.baltimorecollegiate.com, and definitely you can make a donation, learn more about the school. And if you'd like to learn more about the Zoom meeting on Wednesday at 7, you can reach out to me via Instagram at Melanin King Eli, or you can send me an email, ElijahLewis@yourjewelsareInyourjourney.com, and I can give that information to you. So also want to say that I'm also part of the African American Authors Collaborative, which is a group of authors who have great stories like myself. And if you're an avid book lover, definitely check us out at aaac.life. We do various events, virtual and in person. So definitely check us out. We love your support there as well. And I'll end this by just reading a small portion of my book from Your Jewels in Your Journey. Let's see. This is from chapter 2. You can learn from your mistakes. So, as I stated previously, life is about progression, not perfection. We're human, and that's why the phrase "nobody is perfect" is popular. But if you're going to progress through life, you're going to have to learn from your mistakes. Learning from your mistakes makes you better. When you think about where you are today and the person you have become, I'm sure you made a lot of mistakes along the way, and that's okay. What is important is how you respond to them moving forward. It is also important to know the difference between a mistake and a decision. Paulo Coelho said that a mistake repeated more than once is not a mistake anymore. It is a decision. So if you're not learning from your mistakes, you're not getting better. You're actually making the decision to remain where you are. And that's not progression. That's actually hesitation. A great example of learning from your mistakes is to become better is in the world of sports. For those of you who play or have played sports, you know that you win some and you lose some. When you see a team lose a game, it is usually because multiple mistakes were made, such as penalties, turnovers, and missed opportunities. However, what separates the great from the average is that they learn from their mistakes. They realize their weaknesses and ensure they learn from them and get better for the next game. That's the reason they practice and watch film, because practice and studying makes you better. The teams that are average or flat out trash don't do that and keep making the same mistakes. That's the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So again, if you want to support me, go to my website, www.elijahlewis.org. You can also learn more about my motivational speaking as well. And definitely, may you find many jewels along your journey. Continue to be the jewels that you are. Peace and blessings, and hope to connect with you soon. Take care.
Greetings, friends, family, allies, and enemies. This is your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby, who is in the midst of grieving a loved one. Thoughts to her. Hope she is progressing through that. And if it wasn't for her, I would not be here. Brother you got ripped off. If you still in here, can you give me a sound check, please? And today's show, basically what I want to talk about is good old-fashioned American anti-blackness. Now, let's just be honest. The reason I call it good old-fashioned American anti-blackness is because it's been going on since America been invented. It's been going on in what would become America before America was invented. So it's nothing new. But one of the things that happens with black people is seemingly we have to tell every generation since integration that America's still anti-black. And in fact, the world's still anti-black. Because some people, and this is one of the weirdest things, and this has been going on since before. This has been going on since before integration. A lot of black people in the past, well, let me not say a lot. A lot's not a proper word. But a lot of famous black people in the past actually went to places in Europe, right, to escape the anti-blackness of America. Now, some people found more acceptance and stuff like that, but the part that a lot of them seem to miss is the reason you found out is because you were famous, because you were talented, you were famous. And when people go and travel to these places now, they always seem to be shocked by the anti-blackness that they find in places like Italy, Greece, and other places. If you talk black people, talk to black people in London, They'll tell you how much anti-blackness is there, so forth, so on. Even China. I mean, you're in ad nauseum. It doesn't matter. Now, the world is anti-black, right? And because the reason the world is anti-black is because our most vicious enemies are in control of the minds of the world for the most part, and have spread anti-black propaganda throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? So this is just a fact. Have we aided and abetted in this destruction of our image, of our reputation? Absolutely. Because we have people who are paid to make us look like clowns, paid to make us look like buffoons, paid to make us look like degenerates. They get paid well for that. And the result of that is it sets us up to be a target to be destroyed by every group that we encounter. So what we're going to talk about today is simply, well, we're going to use some recent cases as an example of the onslaught that we're facing as far as just physical, straight up assault and deletion. So we're not gonna get into like a lot of high science about, let's say, chemical biological warfare or population control and things like that. We're not going to even go there with that stuff today. We're going to just stick with the obvious, overt, straightforward. We hate you because you're black, and we want you to not exist. Right? You see what I'm saying? We just, we're not going to get with the fancy talk, because unfortunately, we need a reminder that this stuff is going on, right? Because everybody can't be everywhere. Everybody can't see everything. And a lot of people don't know what's going on. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people don't want to know what's going on. But I'm just gonna say this. Not knowing what's going on is not gonna help. Greetings to Sister Elizabeth. Not knowing what's going on is not gonna help. All right. And let me say this real quick. Here's the most dangerous thing about what's going on is, even though the assaults are open, because the perpetrators in a lot of cases aren't being found, we're not 100% sure which segment of our enemies are directly behind stuff, right? And so that's the most dangerous part to us. But here's the reality of the situation. I can't say it no simpler than Baba Cambone said. They want to kill you, but they want to make money off of your death process. I mean, it's really that simple. First of all, the people, the quote unquote elite, the people in charge, want to reduce the population on the planet, period, right? But they would like to start with black people because we're the least organized and seem to be the weakest. So you get rid of the weakest first. We're also the ones, if you're talking about around the world, whose population is growing. Now, if you're talking about here in America, which is what we're going to talk about today, to remind me to stick to America, you got ripped off, so everybody that's listening, because y'all know I get off on a tangent. Literally since Abraham Lincoln, actually since before Abraham Lincoln's time, people have wanted us to leave America. As if we just decided to come here on our own, right? Now, were there some black people who did decide to come here on our own and were here and had explored the place and things like that and built some communities among the native population and even intermingled? Absolutely. We're not debating that issue, right? People get confused with exploring and settling and this always being here, quote unquote. We're not having that discussion today because that discussion is not relevant. Because here's the reality of the situation. They don't ask you if you're indigenous when they shoot you. They don't ask you if you're a Christian when they shoot you. They don't ask you if you're a Muslim or a Black Hebrew or Democrat or Republican when they shoot you, or they shoot your baby, or they sentence your child to 100 years, or all the other things that take place, many of them that we will discuss today. They don't ask for any designation. They don't ask if you're a Mason or elk. They don't ask if you're married or unmarried. All they see is that you are Black, and they want to kill you and make money off of your death process, right? So when you facing trial and you go get a European lawyer, he charges you money and you end up going to jail anyway. So he makes money, the prosecutor makes money, the jail makes money, the judge makes money, and your life is ended. And then what happens? A lot of people, if they see the injustice, they come in, they get involved, they spend time, money, and resources. And what do we see a lot of times? We see people getting let out of jail 5 years later. Well, no, hold up. It's never 5 years later. I'm telling a lie. We see people get let out of jail 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, 25 years later, 30 years later. People have a whole life sentence, serve 30 years, and then a new judge comes in and throws out the case and says that the whole case was illegal, and they let the person out. But it doesn't matter, because when they went in, they were 20 and now they're 50. So they spent more time in jail for a crime they didn't commit than they were the age they were when the whole trial and everything went down, right? So this is what we see. And the reason we see it is because of 250 years of anti-Blackness, not racism, right? In the sense of what people say racism is now, but anti-Blackness. They hate you because you are Black, period. They don't care if you're light-skinned Black. They don't care if you're dark-skinned Black. Some people that are mixed Black, they hate even more because you're mixed Black. As far as they're concerned, your mother or your father, whichever one, is a traitor and produce what they used to call a half-breed, now called mixed, biracial, and all these other things. They hate you just as much because of that, even though you didn't have anything to do with it, right? That's how anti-Black it is. They hate you extra for even being half Black. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna say, all right, brother, but I know that. What should we do? Me and brother, you got ripped off for having the discussion about that today. The first thing you have to do, in my humble opinion, is accept what? The fact that we're Black. That's the first thing we got to do. All these other titles that we want to add onto it, you can add anything onto it in the beginning or the end of the Black part. But guess what? All they see is Black. And Blackness is like, Blackness to anti-Black people is like the color red to a bull, right? Now, I don't even know if the color red and the bull thing is mythology or reality, but I'm just using that as an analogy. You being Black just infuriates a certain segment of this group to the point where they'll do anything to you that they can get away with. They will beat you. They will shoot you. They will violate you. They'll violate your children. They'll take your children away from you. They will exploit you economically. They will anything you can think of. And they'll find various ways to delete you. They'll delete you by hanging. They'll delete you by shooting. They'll delete you by stabbing. They'll delete you by poisoning. I just saw, and I had forgot about this, there was an Asian, I believe they were college students. There was an Asian young man and a young Black man who was light skinned, and the Asian boy had been poisoning the Black young man from the time, almost the whole time that they were living together. They were roommates. The brother that's trying to go to school, the Asian kid poisoned him because he exists. You see what I'm saying? So the reason I say it's anti-blackness is because it doesn't matter who it's coming from. We're hated by the Asian. We're hated by the Arab. We're hated by the South American. Hated by the Mexican. We know we're hated by the European. Like, there's no doubt about that. Peace and blessings to Brother Crow. So, and of course, we know we're hated by the white so-called Jew, right? They love to exploit us. They love to use us to make money, but they hate our guts, right? So that's the reality of the situation. And I just wanted to preface that because we have to stop putting our head in the sand. And let me say this before I get to the first article. God, quote unquote, up in the sky is not going to save black people. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to piss everybody off with it. God up in the sky is not going to save black people. And you're going to say, DC, how you know God's not going to save black people? Because God didn't save black people from the transatlantic slave experience, nor from the Arab slave experience, nor from the burning down of Tulsa, Oklahoma, nor from the hundreds and probably thousands of lynchings that have occurred in America, nor from the poisoning of black people, nor from the millions of abortions that have taken place, nor from the crack epidemic that's taken place, nor from the assassination of Fred Hampton and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and the near assassination of Huey P. Newton and anyone else you want to name that I have forgotten, because there are plenty more, right? Mark Clark, and nor from locking up our other black leaders that we can talk about that spent years. In fact, the assassination of Kwame Ture, because he said the CIA gave him cancer, right? The God in the sky has not saved us from any of that. So it doesn't matter if you call God Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, the Lord, Jesus, whatever else, whatever else black people are believing in America. That God, especially the God of our enemies, has certainly not provided us with any relief from this evil. Right? And brother, you got ripped off says, and let's put this here. And no, we're not cursed to live like this because we turned against God. That, of course, is a lie. That's a lie. It comes from our enemies who taught us to believe in their gods. Right? That's just a fact. The problem is you live amongst an enemy because you refuse to accept the fact that you live amongst an enemy. That's a fact. When we're taught history, and I didn't mean to just get on my soapbox and rant for 2 hours. That's not the purpose of the show, but that's just the spirit that I'm in right now. When we're taught history, we're never taught the truth. Because the truth of the matter is the history of black people in America is a history of being prisoners of war. And if you're a prisoner of war, that means the war had to be going on before you became a prisoner. So the war was going against black people was going on before America existed. It was going on before Europeans explored and came to America and settled America. It was going on before the transatlantic slave system was established. It was going on even before the Arab slave system was established. And Brother Crow says, God helps those who help themselves. And it's so funny that Brother Crow said that, because I was telling Brother You Got Ripped Off earlier that when I was taught to pray in the Nation of Islam, that I was taught that you weren't praying to a God in the sky, that you were praying to the God in self, and that the divine was within self, because within your DNA, which the DE, meaning God, the God in your nucleus, right? The God in your core, the God in yourself is directly descended from the originator. That's what we were taught, right? So you'll often hear someone like Professor Small say, "You're God living a human experience," to get people to understand that. So I look at it like this: if we actually want to do something to get free, that's when we'll receive favor from our ancestors, because our ancestors will look down on us and say, they're finally listening. You see what I'm saying? If we do something to follow in the footsteps of Marcus Garvey, we'll get some traction. If we do something to follow in the footsteps of Minister Malcolm X with his organization of Afro-American Unity, we'll get some traction. If we do something to follow in the steps of Huey P. Newton, we'll get some traction. If we do something to follow in the footsteps of the Haitian Revolution, we'll get some traction. But we don't follow in the footsteps of any of those. We follow in the footsteps of people who want to tell us to love our enemies. And as we sit around and attempt to love our enemies, all we receive is more slavery, more suffering, and more death. To the point that now they've killed us so much that they've moved on to our children. As you see here in front of us was the article, a 1-year-old boy was fatally shot by police in Mississippi. I'm gonna repeat that again. A 1-year-old boy was fatally shot by police in Mississippi. And then what they say, oh, the person, whether the mother or whoever, was stealing diapers. So that stealing diapers entitles you to, and of course we don't believe that, but just the fact that when they're stealing diapers entitle police to shoot into an occupied vehicle and possibly shoot people in the back. I learned decades ago from a police officer as a part of MPD, Metropolitan Police Department. You cannot, under any circumstances, shoot someone in the back. Right? He's like that. Oh, he's like, nah, that can't do that. He wasn't saying you as a private citizen. He was telling me, you can't do it. I can't do it. This guy can't do it. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it if you're the police, if you're the FBI, if you're private security, whomever. That was 30 years ago. That principle has not changed. And yet, as we see, here we are. As the brother is saying, there are even laws to war under the Geneva Convention. Right now, people are finally, the United Nations is finally talking about Israel's genocide, because they have shown now, we've known this for years now at this point, that they were targeting children in Gaza. Well, they are targeting, children here in America. So let me get to the first article, and you know what? Since I'm here, I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start here with the 1-year-old baby. It says the attorney for the family of a 1-year-old boy who was fatally shot by a police officer in a vehicle outside of Walmart in Mississippi said they intend to conduct an independent autopsy while calling for the full story in the child's death. The shooting occurred on June 14th after law enforcement officers responded to a shoplifting call in Senatobia, Mississippi, according to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. Officers encountered 2 adults allegedly fleeing from the store with a child and going into a vehicle. Let's stop right there. Let's, cause this is apparently this is what they're saying they saw. Officers encountered 2 adults fleeing from the store with a child. Let's start right here. Now, I need somebody to explain to me, if you as police officers see two adults with a child, is that not cause enough for you to not start shooting recklessly into, I'm sure it's Walmart, so I know the parking lot was crowded. So anyone could have been shot, right? Why are you shooting at unarmed people who you think are fleeing from shoplifting $25 worth of product? Guys, there's only one reason. Now, brother, you got ripped off for giving us some information. He's saying the 1985 Supreme Court ruling in Texas versus Gardner established that police may only use deadly force against a fleeing suspect if they have probable cause to believe the suspect poses a significant threat of death or serious injury to the officer or others. While the physical location of the shot front versus back is not legally determinative, it serves as a major red flag that triggers intense investigation into whether the threat was threat justification was valid. Excuse me for stumbling over my words. Like, so to me, that little bit of loophole there is there to justify assassinating us while shooting us in the back. But the fact that it says, let me put it back up on the screen. The fact that it says not legally determinative. In other words, just shooting someone in the back does not mean that it was not justified. Right? But most standard police protocol pretty much says it is. Right? So let me get back to this article here. So I don't, we all know how I get. So I don't go off on a tangent and we never even read one article. It says the shooting occurred on June 14th after law enforcement officials responded to a shoplifting call. Okay, I read that part. Officers encountered I read that part. It says the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, which is investigating the shooting, said that the officers encountered the two adults allegedly fleeing. Officers attempted to stop the vehicle, with one opening fire when the driver allegedly drove towards them. The Bureau said the child was killed and an adult was critically injured. Now, I hadn't even heard about the adult being critically injured. 1-year-old Kohen Wiley, his mother and family friend were in a vehicle at the time, according to Ben Crump law, which has been retained by the victim's family. Kohen was killed and the family friend was critically injured. Civil rights and personal injury attorney Ben Crump, who was representing Cohen's family, said the family does not want to rely on the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation for the autopsy. When a baby is killed in a police shooting, the family should never have to wonder whether they are getting the full story. You're never going to get the full story because they're going to see CYA. This is how we make sure to get the full story, Crump said during a press event on Monday. It is no doubt, it is no question, it is no mystery as to what killed 1-year-old baby Cohen, but we want the independent autopsy so we can verify the facts of the entry wound to the baby's body and the exit wound to the baby's body. That information is particularly important in understanding the circumstances of the shooting, he continued, since footage of the incident has not been released by the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. Trump said they hope to have preliminary results of their autopsy by July 1st, following Cohen's funerals on Saturday. Cohen's mother, Valencia Wiley, has suffered panic attacks in the wake of the shooting. I've watched my baby take his first breath and I watched my baby take his last breath, she said during the press event. I'm still in complete disbelief after the traumatizing event that occurred that took my one and only child, baby Kohen. Cohen's father was too distraught to speak during the press conference, Trump said. Mississippi Department of Public Safety Commissioner Sean Tyndall, who oversees the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, has promised transparency, heard that before, during the investigation. To make no mistake, this is a very tragic situation. I'm so tired of anyway, whatever. Let me move forward. I want the public to be assured that Mississippi Bureau of Investigation will conduct its independent investigation. All right, let me just stop right here. Let me just stop right here. I'm getting infuriated. Man, can we be honest here? There is not any justice under the law in this case. It's just not. Even if the police officer were to get convicted and serve the rest of his life, it doesn't matter because a 1-year-old child was taken away before they even having a chance to even learn their ABCs. Y'all know what I think. Those of you who know me. If you don't know me, then maybe you don't know what I think. What will rectify this, in my opinion, is on such a level and on such a scale that it would be called terrorism by our enemy. That's what I think will rectify this situation. So you can use your imagination just to whatever you think that would be. To me, that's the only thing that rectified the situation, because we're talking about a 1-year-old child that was assassinated for no reason. I mean, look, y'all really don't understand. You really don't understand, because I cannot publicly express on these airways where I'm at with this whole situation. All of these situations cumulatively, because I'm people will send me this stuff. Different people send me stuff, mostly on Instagram, and sometimes I just come across it because you know how the algorithm works. Like, oh, you want some of that? Here's some more, and some more, and some more. They are assassinating our children and then playing in our faces with justifications. Listen, I'm gonna just be completely honest. As black men, at some point, we have to get tired of being tired. And no amount of crying and praying and forgiving and protesting and suing is going to solve this problem. It's going to be solved with organization, preparation, determination, and then annihilation of our enemies. Because I truly believe that the things you have to do to get respect from your enemies has to be of such an overwhelming aspect that they understand that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. As Malcolm X said, you have to speak a language that everyone easily understands. And that can only be done by organized means. It can't be done by with emotionalism. It can't be done in a reckless manner. It can't be done out of ego. It can't be done with any of those things. It can't be done apparently can't even be done with religious fervor for us, because our religions are anti-black, so they teach us that we deserve to suffer. The solutions will require cold and calculating methodologies. Okay, my apologies, brothers and sisters. Not sure exactly what happened. I've been considering the discussion. You know, right? May have been a technical issue, may not have been a technical issue, but we will proceed. As I was saying, it's going to take something we've been unwilling to do in the last, really being completely honest, something we've been really unwilling to do since the integration started on a mass scale. We've been unwilling to organize on a mass scale since integration started, because the belief in the goodness of Europeans or the law or America or whatever else you want to talk about, in our subconscious mind, we believe in those things, and we're willing to sacrifice our children at this point in order to try to, in essence, cash that check in, the check of liberty and justice for all, right? That false belief that even I'm gonna tell you how deep the conditioning goes. And brother, you got ripped off. Am I back on? Can you hear me? Let me know that while I'm talking. It goes so deep that the Haitians during the Haitian Revolution had to fight the fact that many of their people believed in what Baba Jacob Carruthers called the Phantom of Liberty, meaning that they're trying to teach, had to overcome the fact that, oh, we can make peace with these people. Nah, you can't. No, it's war. They brought in people to slaughter everybody and replace the whole population. It's a war. You can't make peace with these people. You're gonna have to fight them. Right? Now, remember, these are people that fought for their freedom, vanquished their enemy, and established sovereignty. They had to fight with the concept that you can somehow get along with your enemy. Right? So, in the same boat. And you're in the same boat because when they will shoot your children, I don't think there's pretty much anything else left to say. If a 1-year-old baby life is not sacred, no one's life is sacred. We now have, in my lifetime, I have now seen them shoot 88-year-old woman and a 1-year-old baby, and every age in between in my lifetime, from 1 to 88. I just want to let that sink in. In my lifetime, I've heard stories of Black people from almost every age in between. But we know the lowest is 1 and the highest is 88. And I'm sure we had enough people on here. Somebody could be like, well, actually, they shot a 90-year-old woman in fill in the year. We've seen them kill Tamir Rice. How old was Tamir Rice? Like 10? Nothing happened. Trayvon Martin. And we could go on and on. And brother, you got ripped off says they also shoot out crippled people and mentally disabled. You're right, brother. They shot people in wheelchairs. I think that literally, and I could be wrong, I think literally the only place I haven't heard police shoot people is in their actual hospital bed. But of course, you got the doctors to finish people off for that. But that's literally like the only place I haven't heard how people being shot is literally in the hospital. I ain't saying in the hospital, because we had people shot by police in the hospital. I mean, literally in the bed. Now, they tried to beat Huey P. Newton to death in the hospital. A group of police, but they ain't shoot. And maybe because the cameras got there too quick. I don't know. Because he had already been shot. But that's literally the only place I haven't heard about us being shot is in the hospital bed. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play, for those not familiar with the case, I'm gonna play the video talking about the shooting of the 1-year-old. So give me a second, brothers and sisters, and let me pause and load this clip up.
In Mississippi, after police opened fire on a moving vehicle and shot and killed a 1-year-old boy last Sunday. Furthering the outrage, this stemmed from an alleged shoplifting case at a Walmart. Police say the suspect was behind the wheel and accelerating towards them when one of the officers fired that fatal shot. Scripps News senior national correspondent Jay Gray is looking into this case. So Jay, when you see this picture of this 1-year-old, you can't help but wonder how something like this could have happened. I understand the family is calling for an independent autopsy. Can you tell us why?
Yeah, Andrew, the family's attorneys say they're just concerned overall with the transparency of this investigation, say they are worried about how it is going to be carried out. And they are saying that the mother of the young boy, she's disputing a police account of how he was killed.
Justice for baby Kohen.
Calls for justice just days after 1-year-old Kohen Wiley was shot and killed by police responding to a shoplifting call in northwest Mississippi. This video showing the scene playing out in a Walmart parking lot in the small town of Senatobia.
They were called over a box of diapers. And a family now has to bury their baby. You cannot put those two things next to each other and call it reasonable policing.
An officer firing shots into a car he alleges was accelerated toward him, something Cohen's mother, a passenger in the vehicle, denies. Valencia Wiley also says she held Cohen up so officers would know there was a baby in the car just before the shots were fired.
I watched my baby take his first breath, and I watched my baby take his last breath.
The officer who fired the shots has been placed on administrative leave. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation promising transparency, including security and police body cam video of the incident. The MBI promising to release that video, but only after the investigation is complete.
We don't have to wait 6 to 9 months. They can release the body cam footage of the officers. The officers have body cams on. Yeah. We know if their lives were in danger because we can tell from the body cam footage.
Attorneys for Wiley's family have requested an independent autopsy. There will be a public funeral for Cohen, which could come as early as the weekend. Now, a couple of other quick points in this case. The driver of the car was critically injured during that shooting. Injuries, though, not considered life-threatening. Also, Cohen's mother has not been accused or charged with shoplifting following the incident. So a lot to sort out here, obviously, Andrew.
And Jay, this is a small town, and it is one that is familiar tension between the community and police. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, community advocates telling us that the death of Cohen is really a, quote, breaking point after multiple incidents in the city across the span of the last several years, including an officer threatening a black woman with a taser, then pulling her from her car to the ground after a confrontation over a handicapped parking spot. And that happened, Andrew, in the same Walmart parking lot where this shooting occurred.
Wow. Senior national correspondent Jay Gray. Jay, thank you for your reporting.
All right, brothers and sisters. So that was the report on that. And I'm gonna be honest, I had not watched the video. So they told me some information that I didn't know, that other race brutality and attacks were under investigation by the police. It literally in the same place, in the Walmart parking lot. And Brother Crow says that many of these cops get their training from Israel. Yes, sir, brother, that is correct. And brother, you got ripped off says, wait, let me get this straight. Police arrived on time for a shoplifting, but can't arrive on time for a mass shooting. Right. We're going to assume it's because it was a small town and they were already in the area. I don't even think we have to even talk about the racism of Mississippi. Nina Simone made a song about it. It is what it is in this case. And we're just gonna move on to the next case. Because I only want to do 2 hours. We lost a couple of minutes with the technical issues. My apologies for that. I will have to that's what I'm looking for. I will have to edit the live stream afterwards. But yeah, let me see. What is the next case that I want to get to? We'll get to this quickly because this was from earlier this month. Rick Child, South Carolina. Jury finds store owner not guilty in murder of black teen. This, of course, was the Cyrus, because this is Asian, the Cyrus Carmack-Belton case. It says a South Carolina jury on Monday found a store owner not guilty of murder in a 2023 shooting of a black child. So this case took 3 years, or at least 2.5 years, to come to trial. Now, so the jury returned the verdict for CK Rick Child. Child 61, who was Asian, shot Cyrus Carmack-Belton in the back after chasing him from his convenience store in Columbia, but maintained he acted to defend his son. Let's stop right here. We literally just talked about shooting people in the back. I told you, I was told by a police officer 30 years ago, that's against protocol. You do that, more than likely, you're going down for attempted murder. For murder or at least manslaughter, right? It's the legal advice I got from a police officer. As you can tell, I never forgot. Yet, when black people are shot in the back by non-black people, not just Europeans, but also Asians, not just police, but also private citizens, nothing happens to them. And for those people who like to say, well, black people shoot black people. Yes, that is true. Just like white people shoot white people, and Asians shoot Asians, and Hispanics shoot Hispanics, although Hispanics prefer blades. And I know that because I worked in a hospital. And on a holiday or a full moon, we used to get a lot of Hispanic people with various cuts and puncture wounds coming into the hospital in the middle of the night. I'm just saying. Okay? So the whole black people shoot black people doesn't. Here's the thing. When black people shoot black people, somebody gets arrested and convicted. Not just arrested, but convicted. But when other people shoot black people, while people may get arrested, often no one is convicted. right? That's the difference. But I know some Europeans see this. That's what they're going to say. We're going to clear that up right now. We're going to get that out the way. Let's get back to the article. Because I'm not going to lie. These articles, man, it's hard to read because they've seen it so many times before. And I'm so tired of the nonsense. It says, after the verdict was read, sobs and cries of distress could be heard coming from Carmack-Belton's family. Seated in the gallery, Child sat silently frozen before slowly bowing his head on his interlocking hands. I'm going to just say this. Rick Child's a private citizen that has a business that everyone knows where the business is. There should be no black people in that town going to that business. That's the least we can do. And in the midst of this, we have seen, let me bring this up, a call for a nationwide boycott on Asian, as far as I know, on Asian businesses in general, right? If I'm incorrect, someone correct me, but that's how I took it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't frequent a lot of Asian businesses, because I'm not buying any hair, wigs. I go to a black hair care store for any hair care needs or hair care products. I don't often eat at Asian places because most of them are not particularly clean. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If you find one that is clean, they're gonna charge you more. And so I don't have to change a lot of behavior, right? I wish we had the economic infrastructure that we could just boycott everybody. But so far, people seem to be adhering to that to some degree, at least the people who have heard. I have actually, I haven't told anybody this, but I have actually gone past some places to look in and see. And it's some places that I don't see the foot traffic that I used to see. Asian businesses, nail salons. I went past one nail salon, there wasn't a soul in there. I was shocked. There wasn't nobody in there. I don't know if it was a slow day or whatever, but it was, there was nobody in there. Went past a couple of restaurants. Didn't see hardly anyone. So as I went past another restaurant, saw a few people. Of course, I haven't scoured the whole city of Washington, D.C., but I'm just saying what I saw was encouraging. So I didn't see anybody publicly stating what was going on. I don't know if it's word of mouth. I don't know if it's happenstance. I don't know. Whatever's taking place, the repercussions of it, I'm starting to see. So that us getting in the habit of not shopping at these places is the only positive outcome that has come about from this situation. And unfortunately, this isn't new. This reminds me to some degree of the Latasha Harkins case in LA in 1991, 92. I never forget that case because the young lady that was killed by the Asian woman looked a lot like one of my cousins. So, that's always in my mind. And I'll say this, now I'm thinking about it. I actually have no idea how much I have been traumatized by the various cases because so many things have happened that you tend to forget. And only by now I'm talking about them do I start remembering different things. Amadou Diallo, Yusuf Hawkins, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, this case, Cyrus Belton, the baby Kohen. The sister, in fact, let me find that. Hopefully I have that up. Where is the sister? But I forgot about this one. This sister, I didn't even know about this. Juliana and Zeta, 16-year-old, found hanging on the church property, 16 years old, in Charlotte. What's the other sister, brother? You got ripped off. Help me out, because all of a sudden I can't find that. Oh, here we go. Sister Tania Miller found in Miami on Juneteenth, and so forth and so on. An endless number of Black people destroyed, lives destroyed. Because they're Black. Brother, you guys ripped off, gave me the info. Latasha Harlings, excuse me, I said Harkins, it's Harlings. Occurred March 16, 1991. Yeah, I was right about that. 15-year-old was shot in the back of the head and killed by Soon Ja Du. Look, I'm just as guilty as anybody, but all Asian businesses should have been shut down right there forever. All right, that should have been it right there. Now, our generation, because I was only a couple of years older than her, our generation, we kind of thought it was over because the LA riots happened not too long after that. Like, Black people in LA were like, I've had enough. Had enough of right, because everybody thinks it was just the Rodney King. The Rodney King was the last straw. The Rodney King verdict was like, enough's enough. But the LA riots took place. They were going against and the Asians knew it, because the Asians armed themselves and got on the rooftops of their buildings and were shooting at Black people. So they knew they were a target. That history gets forgotten, right? So, let me just get to this article real quick. I thought I had a video of this article, because I don't know how many people are familiar with this, because this happened again. The sister was traveling, I think, from Michigan to Miami, and I'm not sure if it was for Juneteenth or just happened to be on Juneteenth. But the point being is there was no reason for her life to end, and no, she did not kill herself. I'm gonna say that again. I don't care what the autopsy says. I don't care what the police have to say. I don't care about any of that. I don't care what our enemies have to say about our deaths, because our enemies are the ones who are behind our deaths. So how can we take their side of the story when they're the ones who are doing the deleting of our people? So it doesn't matter what they have to say. But what I'm gonna do is, I have the video. I'm gonna play the video, and then we'll read the article.
Of a Michigan woman in South Florida has gained a lot of attention online. Now, a family member is pleading for answers after deputies say that they found her sister dead near Gwen Cherry Park in Miami-Dade County last week. Detectives say that their investigation found no evidence of foul play and say that it appears that she died by suicide. A woman's sister, however, strongly disputes that.
If anybody knew that my sister Tornado Nicole, that's the last thing she would do. That's the last thing she's thinking about. She loved life too much.
Deputies say Tone's body was found last Thursday morning. Investigators say her belongings were with her and they found no signs of violence. Over the past week, Miller's death has drawn growing attention on social media. Today, the NAACP and community leaders call for transparency in the investigation. The Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office attended today's news conference to say that the case is closed, though they say that they will review any credible new information brought forward.
Based on the totality of the evidence gathered during this investigation, detectives found no evidence that Ms. Miller's death was the result of foul play. We understand that this does not lessen the grief of those that loved Ms. Miller, nor does it erase the difficult questions that often follow a tragic loss.
Experts say mental health struggles can be complex and are not always visible to others. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available by calling or texting.
All right, let me just say this. Of course, mental health is, mental health is an issue in the Black community. We have all been traumatized by our enemies. That's it, right? That's proximity to the enemy is traumatizing. I'm going to say that again. Proximity to the enemy is traumatizing. But Black people do not go to public squares, public parks, public restaurants, so forth and so on, and decide to delete themselves. I don't care what we talk about. That's just not how this thing works. That's just not how this thing goes. That's just not what we do. Well, you got real thought says America has an epidemic of Black people dying by hangings. Don't you find that suspicious? In our Umar voice. Apparently people don't find it suspicious. I find it infuriating. As you can tell from the tone of my voice, or maybe not, I'm exhausted, not only by the deletions of Black people, but I'm exhausted by the cowardice of the Negro male. I got to call it like it is. The rank cowardice of the Negro. And Sister Najee she's got a show. She's gonna pretty much headline a show on Monday, by the way. We're gonna have a special SBO on this Monday dealing with shades of gay. Right? You like, well, DC, what that got to do with what you talking about now? I would just say this. If men weren't so busy trying to hide in the backsides of other men, maybe, just maybe, we could organize to defend ourselves. But we have absolutely no history here in the hills of North America of homophiles organizing to repel racist brutality and attacks by means of armed self-defense. We have no record of that in 250 years of our time here in the hills of North America. Nat Turner was not a homosexual. Denmark Vesey was not a homosexual. Gabriel Prosser was not a homosexual. Malcolm X was not a homosexual. Marcus Garvey was not a homosexual. Most of the Black men in the Black Panther Party, in fact, all the men in the Black Panther Party, as far as I know, at the time where they were active, were not homosexual. Louis P. Newton was not a homosexual. Bobby Seale was not a homosexual. Eldridge Cleaver, as much as he loved European women, was not a homosexual. Chairman Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were not homosexuals. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was certainly not a homosexual. He's 150,000% against it. None of the people who advocated for, and Robert F. Williams was not a homosexual, who stood for, advocated for, and performed armed self-defense were not homosexuals. Kwame Ture was not a homosexual. Was our sister down in Mississippi, Fannie Lou Hamer, was not a homosexual. The people who actually picked up weapons to defend themselves and their community against racist brutality and attack were not homosexuals. What's our brother H. Rap Brown was not a homosexual, right? The Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad, when they were fighting to protect the mosque in LA, the men of the FOI were not homosexuals. Queen Mother Moore, not a homosexual. So the people who were advocating for armed self-defense, the people who were organizing for armed self-defense, the people who were defending our community from racist brutality and attack, people of the Black Liberation Army were black men and black women who loved black men and black women and black children. And those were the people who have been defending us in our community. And I say one of the reasons why we can't organize is because, plain and simple, amongst the young people, because Huey P. Newton said revolution belongs to the young. That to me homosexual. Elijah Muhammad. People can talk bad about him all they want. One thing we know for a fact, he was not a homosexual. Right? Now, there may be some other people that who we won't name who are of questionable character. But the people who fought and died many times for us were not homosexual. We have no history. Again, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to reiterate it. We have no history of a bunch of homos organizing to repel racist brutality and attack by means of armed struggle. I think I mentioned Kwame Ture, brother. If I didn't, I'll mention him again. Was not a homosexual. And there are many others unnamed. So when we look at the amount of attacks that are going against us that have not been responded to properly, as Malcolm X says, we have to speak a language that everyone can easily understand, and we're not speaking that language. The reason is rank cowardice. I mean, that's it. I literally have nothing else to say on the reason. Brother, you got ripped off says that, meanwhile, the nonviolent approaches literally end with you giving up your backside or being unjustly incarcerated, which ends up with you giving up your backside. Hey, brother, I don't even know what to say, bro. I don't even know what to say. I want to look at this real quick. It says new report finds more than 70 suspected modern day lynchings in the Deep South since 2000. This is just in the Deep South. What about the rest of the country? In 2025, reports surfaced of two black men's bodies, Trey Reed and Tory Medley, being found hanging from trees in Wisconsin and Mississippi, respectively. And as the families continue to fight for answers surrounding their loved ones' deaths, a new report published by Julian, I don't know what that is, reveals that the speculation of their deaths being possible lynchings is not that far-fetched. That inspired by Ida B. Wells' historic A Red Record, which documented lynchings in the 19th century, Julian's Crimson Record offers an in-depth analysis of modern-day lynchings from 2000 to 2025. In other words, almost up to the minute, almost up to right now. Challenging reports that the last lynching in the U.S. took place in 1981. Now, I know that's a lie because I've been alive since 1980. I know that's a lie. The Civil Rights Organization's analysis reveals recurring patterns of violence, systemic neglect, and law enforcement misconduct that echoes the racial terror of earlier eras. Let's stop right here for a second. Martin Luther King said that he feared that he was integrating us into a burning house. The house is on fire. The ship is sinking. We've come to the end of the road. You literally have Europeans talking about the end of the American empire. And here we are in the midst of that destruction, being the most destroyed. And when you say, let us unite, let us come together, let us organize, let us do something for ourselves, not just have an economic boycott, but to build an economic infrastructure, not just to be angry and protest, but to actually organize, right? Let's build a system of self-defense. Let's have a cadre that can move silently amongst us and amongst our enemies and do what needs to be done. Let's take our many skilled, trained operatives who happen to, at some point or another, maybe even now, still work for the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Marines, who have been trained, who are trained to remove threats. Let us find a way to organize them to remove the threats to Black people in America. When we say that, it falls on deaf ears. If you're untrained, we don't need you to pick up a weapon. We need you to help finance those who are trained so that they can do what they need to do in silence to defend Black life. Because it's obvious what we are doing is not working. What else y'all want me to say? How much, it's so funny. Early on, where I met Brother Irritated Genie, he was at an integration conference, or maybe it was an anti-integration conference. And one of the through lines of the anti-integration conference was, how much more integration can we take? And they talked about, at that time, Black deaths. I'm trying to think, was this before Trayvon Martin? Or maybe it was shortly after Trayvon. I can't remember. It's been that's how long ago it's been. We're talking about at least 13 years ago. At least. That's the minimum. How much more deletion of Black people and obvious racial attacks are we willing to take? Brother, you say that after Trayvon. Well, that's why I said at least. Because I know Trayvon's situation was 15 years ago. But I'm saying at least because I'm not sure. I'm thinking it was right after, because I'm thinking it was 2012. That's what I'm thinking. So if I'm not mistaken, it was a Trayvon situation 2011, right? It's been 15 years, right? Or am I wrong? Brother, you let me know. But the point being, what we're doing isn't working. The Trayvon situation was 2012. Okay. The integration conference had to be, I thought the integration conference was 2012 too. Maybe it's 2013, but it was around that time. No, but anyway, point being, that was a question on the table. How much integration can we take? Because here's the thing. If this report is correct about the lynchings, nothing different substantially is taking place, except that you're able, as far as integration goes, except that you're able to fornicate with Europeans. And let's be honest, there have been cases in the South that I remember where I believe it was 2 young men were shot by a European because they were in the house of a European because one of them was dating the European's daughter, and nothing happened to that person. I can't even remember what year that was. So there's nothing between that and what was going on in 1963 where you know you would be shot. That's the only difference. The difference is the current generation gets surprised when this stuff happens because we've been telling them lies. It ain't their fault. They ain't been here. So we've been telling them lies or allowing lies to be told to them that racism is over. Every generation has to be given their wake-up call because we've been telling lies that racism is over, that God loves everybody, that Martin Luther King said we shall overcome and love everybody, and then America suddenly became unracist. Right? But our children are still under attack. Shot at 1 year old, shot at 5 years old, shot at 10 years old, shot at 15 years old, shot at 20 years old. But we're telling them that everything is okay. Racism has ended. To love everybody. That God is going to help us. And so forth and so on. And we just tell a bunch of lies. And then we wonder why the young generation don't have any respect for us. Because they know we're liars. It's no different from looking at your mother sideways when you find out that Santa Claus ain't real. I found out young enough that Santa Claus wasn't real, that I didn't have any animosity towards my parents because I knew what the deal was. I never even thought about why, the facade happened. I just tried to figure out we don't have no chimney. You know what I'm saying? So something ain't right. And that's how some of our children are. They hear you complaining about how the world is and figure out that racism must still exist because you black and you complaining. And they go to little Billy's house and his parents ain't complaining. So the only difference is Billy white, he black. That's it. And he figure out, something ain't right. Right? Let me get back to this article because I'm not going to be on long because we don't have a large audience. So I'm not going to take up y'all's time. But I want to finish this article. It says today, as in the past, it survives in the shadows, it being lynching. If we are to end this brutality and secure justice for the victims, their families, and the communities left to carry the pain, we must confront it openly and speak its name without fear. Excuse me, this is from the founder of this organization, Jill Colin Jefferson. And again, I've never even heard of this organization. And this is from an article in the Grill. It says, as the study notes, lynching is one of the hardest hate crimes to prove and is often ruled as a suicide initially. A pattern many of us observed in reports about Reed, the 25-year-old whose body was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University in Mississippi. The study defines a modern-day lynching as a multiple perpetrator homicide targeting a group or individual driven by race. And then look what they do. Add other stuff that ain't got nothing to do with it. Gender identity. Nobody's hanging anybody. Look, let me stop right here. Let me say that. Nobody is hanging anybody because of their gender identity. I haven't heard of one white transgender being hung. I haven't heard of one white gay person in the last 25 years being hung or being lynched. I haven't heard of one white lesbian being lynched. So no, it's not no gender identity. It's because you're black. Black people are the only people being lynched in this country in the 21st century. Stop the madness. Stop including these other categories in Black death and destruction. Stop the lies. I'm sick to my stomach. And they started this madness. I was talking to a brother about this. They started this madness way back in the 90s when they tied the death of Matthew Shepard, a homosexual, somewhere in Iowa, Wyoming, wherever, to the murder of Jesse Bird in Texas. And they called it the Jesse Bird and Matthew Shepard hate crimes bill, when in reality, the hate is only against Black people, right? And they use that, they tie those two together in order to be able to push the homophile agenda while anti-Blackness is still running rampant. And if it wasn't for Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and the New Black Panther Party for self-defense, there would be no James Byrd, excuse me. The people who killed James Byrd would not have gone to jail, right? I just want to make that clear. Now, let me get back to the start. Been off time. I'm frustrated. It says, as the study notes, lynching. Oh no, it says hardest. All right, need that. Over the last 25 years, the study identified 70 modern-day lynchings across 7 states: Texas, Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama, with Mississippi recording the highest number, 20, a growing trend experts first flagged in 2021. Amongst the growing number of lynchings, the study highlights the cases of people like Trevante Schubert Helton, 29, who was found hanging from a tree in a 90% white town in North Georgia in 2024. Willie Andrew Jones Jr., a 21-year-old Black man who was found hanging from a tree in 2018, and more. These cases force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. It just says supremacy. I don't know how the white got deleted out of this. I don't know. It's still enforced in our communities through terror, not as a relic of the past, but as a living, evolving practice. Jefferson noted, many would rather confine this violence to history books, but that denial is exactly what allows it to continue. The extraordinary effort to obscure modern-day lynchings more than other acts of hate reveals a deeper fear that naming them would expose how deeply this violence is rooted in our present. Describing the mix of documentation, defiance, and testimony, Julian emphasizes that modern-day lynchings are not historical echoes, but rather living patterns of one of America's oldest forms of racial violence. Modern-day lynchings, MBLs, thrive in silence, in the gaps between coroner's report and the truth, between official explanations and lived experience of grieving families. What was once a public ritual of white supremacy has become a quieter machinery of neglect, operating through misclassification, inadequate investigation, and the failure to see Black people as fully grievable. I don't care about none of them other people. No one cares about none of them other people. Nothing is happening to none of them other people. It's Black people. It's Black people. It's Black people. Only Black people are being lynched. Only Black people are being killed. Only Black people are being shot. Only Black people are being hated. Only Black people are being destroyed. Only Black people. Stop tying us to everything else. And this is why I hate stuff like the griot, because they're going to, anyway. All right. So that is that article. I think there's another case I got. I think is this it? Yeah, this it. I'm going to play this case, the case of 7-year-old Jordan Duncan. Play this video and then we will discuss that and then we'll get ready to close out. By the way, this is the Center Live. I am your host, DC Radical One. You can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dcradical_ONE, on Threads at dc.radical1. With OTW2 is back up and running over there. If you find value in this information and discussion, you can cash at me at $DCRadical1, and you can email me at straightblackpride_DC at protonmail.com. Yeah, let me play this clip, and let's talk about this latest case.
Three women are now charged in the death of a little girl in Bayport. Jordan Duncan was just 7 years old. Tonight, prosecutors say they have disturbing evidence that shows the women in custody actively tortured the child. Stacey Sager's live in Bayport with the very latest on the arrests and the ongoing investigation. Stacey, Harper.
Well, Sade, 3 generations of women and allegedly the horrible torture of an innocent child. This was the brutal murder of a defenseless 7-year-old girl, according to the Suffolk County District Attorney. This all began here in Bayport with a 911 call to this home. It ended now with a massive grand jury indictment.
Oak Street here in Bayport, where nicely kept homes bear welcoming signs and American flags line the block. Number 9, no different, except for the horrors that prosecutors outline inside.
You hear about this stuff and you don't think it's going to be so close to home. It hits a little different when it's right here.
They say the 7-year-old girl who lived here endured months of abuse.
I just feel terrible because, I mean, we just feel like we would have done something.
A grand jury indictment now alleging that Jordan Duncan had at least 90 injuries on her body in the last 48 hours of her life. 20 other injuries, including some suggesting she was whipped. Looking outside the home, a clear indication the family denies any abuse. Signs about their own grief after Jordan went into cardiac arrest here last December. But neighbors like Tom Lowe, who lives 2 doors down, wondered.
Like 9 months ago when they went into the house, ambulances, cop cars.
Now 3 generations of women in the home, all charged with the abuse that caused little Jordan's death. 50-year-old Emily Kelly, her legal guardian, facing the most serious charges, including second-degree murder. Kelly was the girl's father's fiancé and had legal custody because he's in prison. But prosecutors say in the year Kelly was in charge, cruelty persisted. So did alleged cover-ups of Jordan's injuries discussed between Kelly and her 24-year-old daughter, Alyssa Seymour. Kelly's elderly mother, meanwhile, Barbara Renner, allegedly singing in the background during a video showing little Jordan struggling.
3 generations, nobody, it's sadistic, it's horrible.
Jordan Duncan was absent from school 40 days in 2025. In a statement, the superintendent of Bayport Blue Point saying the district remains heartbroken and profoundly saddened as they continue to navigate this difficult period.
And the charges in this case really do run the spectrum. You have 50-year-old Emily Kelly. She's charged with murder. Her 75-year-old mother, Barbara Renner, is charged with manslaughter. And 24-year-old Alyssa Seymour, she is charged with unlawful imprisonment and endangering the welfare of little Jordan. All 3 women are behind bars still at this hour. The attorney for Seymour did call us late today saying that her client has no prior criminal record. We're live in Bayport. I'm Stacey Sager, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Brothers and sisters, look, y'all want me to say it? Y'all heard what happened. This is what happened. A Negro male, because a Negro male took his fully black child and ended up in prison, left her in his, because the mother of the child is black. The child is black. Left her in the custody of his white fiance, her white mother, and her mulatto daughter, because that girl's a mulatto, the 24-year-old, in a house by herself. And they sadistically tortured that girl to death. What I tell you about integration, brother, you got ripped off. I do not know. It may be in the article, right? I will try to read the article, see if we can find an answer to that. What I tell you about integration, we know for thousands of years that European females hate black women. They're envious, they're jealous, and they hate black women. It's one of the worst kept secrets in America. European females were, during enslavement, were very sadistic in their treatment of black women. Why? Because many times the European males were more interested in the especially, and let's be honest, especially the mixed breed women, more so than their own wives. On up to Thomas Jefferson, right? So, if you, bruh, these Negroes make my head hurt. Why would you leave your child in the hands of that? First of all, what are you even doing with that nasty, disgusting looking beast? Your fiance. Bruh, come on, man. What are you dudes doing? All right, read this article so we can get ready to get out of here, because I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't. It says 3 generations of women who all related pled not guilty in the death of a 7-year-old girl who prosecutors say was tortured and abused before she died. Emily Kelly, 50, her mother Barbara Renner, 75, and Kelly's daughter Alyssa Seymour, 24 or 25. The court was packed with family and friends and supporters of Jordan Duncan, who was deceased on December 29th of last year. Prosecutors say she endured prolonged neglect and abuse, much of which was recorded on a cell phone before dying from an infection from her injuries. The 7-year-old had about 90 injuries on her body at the time of her passing, according to the Suffolk County medical examiners. On Tuesday, people cried, hugged, and some even stepped out of the courtroom as a woman accused of committing the torture faced a judge. The Suffolk County District Attorney said the child died after months of alleged systematic cruelty and sadistic abuse that was meticulously documented. Kelly is being charged with 2nd-degree murder. She pled not guilty at the arraignment. My client asserts her innocence. Man, please. And we are vigorously going to defend her throughout these proceedings. Whatever. Kelly is the fiance of the child's father, who's in prison. She gained full custody of the 7-year-old April of 2025, so she couldn't wait to kill her. The 3 women are facing a slew of charges. Kelly's 75-year-old mother is being charged with 2nd-degree manslaughter. The 24-year-old daughter is charged with unlawful imprisonment. The victim's half-brothers and biological mother were in court, and her attorney spoke afterwards. We are currently examining were there any flaws, any system flaws or failures that attorney Heather Powell. As people left the Riverhead courthouse, a large fight broke out among those wearing pink for the young girl outside in the parking lot. Court officers ran outside to break it up. The judge asked for the discovery to be turned over to the defense by the next court date at the beginning of August. So this is an ongoing case in, I believe, Long Island, New York. Brother, you got ripped off. Can you remind me to keep up with the case? Because the adjudication is just beginning. The adjudication process is just beginning. I'm just be honest. I don't know what our people want to do. I don't know if people are tired yet. I don't know if people are not even paying attention. I don't know. We don't have many views for this show right now. Whether that's my fault, I didn't get the information out early enough. My apologies. One thing I noticed is that in these new algorithms of social media, people, you can post stuff a day in advance, and the thing, people see it a day after, whatever it is you would try to post. I've tried to post stuff 2 days in advance. It seems like people forget it. So I don't know. I'm working on that. So that's my fault. But these are things that we as a community have to address. And because we either gonna organize and survive, or we're not gonna organize and be removed from the planet. Those are pretty much the options on the table. I don't know what else to say. We're coming under assault in many different ways, many different angles, and there's no way that we can individually survive this onslaught. It's just not going to happen. Let's see. Let's see, brother. You got ripped off. You put up some information about Dr. Khaled and the Jesse. The James Byrd case. Let's see. And brother, what's the source before I read this? It says Khaled Abdul Muhammad did not influence the legal proceedings or verdicts in the James Byrd murder case, but he significantly impacted the public response and community tension in Jasper. Following the June 1998 lynching, Muhammad, then national chairman of the New Black Panther Party, led approximately 50 armed followers to Jasper to protect the streets and protest the racially motivated killing by white supremacists. I'm gonna assume that they're saying that he didn't influence it. I'm sorry, but armed black people, because again, we don't see armed black people. We didn't see them a lot then. We didn't see them a lot now. Organized armed black men influence a lot of things. That's all I'm gonna say. When you organize and you're armed, you can get a lot of things accomplished in a short span of time. That's right. If that's why Grandmaster G is incarcerated now. That's all I'm saying. So, brothers and sisters, we're a week away from the 250th birthday of America. And as I said in the thumbnail and the title of this show, 250 years of anti-blackness and counting. And at some point, take this off my bed. At some point, we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do. And brother, you got to rip off this. That's why the Panthers and BLA were destroyed, right? What we're doing not working. And we know that because our children are being deleted literally right in front of our face. And I'm not gonna lie, I guess because of social media, and I didn't even get to the Karmelo case, them working on a new trial. But yes, that's going on as well. But our children now are facing the brunt of the assault. And I'm gonna just say this real quick. As black men, there's a lot of discussion about the respect that we don't get from black women. Men who allow their children to be killed don't deserve any respect. That's just what you want me to say. I said it and I'll say it again. Men who allow their children to be killed blatantly, openly, continuously don't deserve any respect. because it don't take, you can say, oh, we don't have money, we don't have this. It doesn't take a lot. Look, people with no money find a way to get drugs and a gun and go into business and shoot people on the street every day, starting off with nothing. So so tell the excuses to somebody who is younger and more naive, right? This is called up what it is. Brother, you have Rivo says Karmelo Anthony has had a high-profile pro bono and he continued to appeal his murder conviction and 35-year sentence. Also, I have heard, and I hope it's true, says a new legal group led by Russell Wilson II, including civil rights advocate Gary Bledsoe, announced their representation on June 22nd, 2026. And let me say this. This is what I heard. Hopefully it's true. I heard that the brothers in the facility where he is incarcerated have pledged to protect him from any undue harm that may come from other inmates. And so I hope that is true. And if so, that is a beautiful example of unity if the quote unquote big homies are going to protect the young brother in this time of crisis. Right? So with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully more people will view this afterwards. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. I may go over some of these cases and make individual videos. I'm not sure. Also, don't forget Monday at 7 p.m. Currently, we will be, Sister Najee will be returning for a special SPL, and the subject is shades of gay. I didn't pick the subject. I didn't pick the title. This is largely Sister Najee's project, but I will have stuff to interject. I already know that. Y'all know how I am. I have trouble keeping my mouth shut. Weirdly enough, it's easier to keep my mouth shut at an actual live event than it is for me to do it when I have a microphone in hand. So, again, I'm your host, DC Radical One. You can follow me on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC_Radical_ONE. Soon on OTW2 at DC Radical One. Find any value in this, you can Cashapp me. $, DC Radical One. And you can email me at straightblackpride_DC at protonmail.com. Thank you all to everybody who contributed. Brother, you got ripped off, Brother Crow, and the sister that came through. With that, I say a BB40 and Street Black Pride.